This is a little bit of a post test on automatic transmission basic knowledge, and this is the same test that you guys took when we first started this semester, and I'm trying to figure out, just looking at it, where you guys are and what you know. All right, you understand that? So we need it. It's a sort of a automatic transmission post, not pop.
I was looking at the other one.
Yeah, there's another one that says pop test on it, but basically, you're going to do the post test on here, and so basically we're going to ask these questions one at a time, and we got to get a consensus on what the answer is. And so, if you think you know the answer, how many of you have already done the test? Have anybody done it before? I mean, have you done it in preparation for today? Because I didn't really tell you to. You did do it. So Daniel, he did it. We'll see how he did. Maybe we should let somebody else grade your test, right? Be all right? Okay. Huh? Yeah.
Making a joke.
Yeah. All right then. Well, so first question on your post test here. This is standard. This is what you should know as a result of having gone through the automatic transmission semester. What happens when a holding clutch is applied? A, the gear ratio is reduced. B, the planetary gears move freely. C, a gear set element is held and power flow is redirected. Or D, the fluid pressure in the valve body is reduced.
C.
He said D.
I said C.
You said. He said C. He said Charlie. What are you saying?
I'm gonna be wrong, but I'm gonna say D. The gears move freely.
Okay. What do you think, Mr. Webb?
I put C, too.
He put C. Who put C? Ever raise your hand if you put C?
I'm looking at
Okay.
C.
We got 4 C's over here. Did you put C or did you put D or
No, I
D?
haven't putting anything down on this. This
Yeah, right.
one's blank as can be.
Put down the one that you think is the right answer.
I said C.
You gonna put C?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you?
I'm gonna stick with B.
You gonna pick C? Mark yours wrong. Okay.
It's
All right.
C.
Here we go. It was C. The gear set element is held and power flow is redirected. Number 2. What do the hydraulic clutches and bands do? Now, these are real simple questions. A, they hold and drive the planetary gear sets. B, they produce various output ranges of torque and speed. C, they provide fluid, reservoir, and hydraulic passages.
D.
He said B. Is that Baker?
No, I said D.
D has got nothing next to it. He knew that was wrong.
Alpha's definitely right.
Yeah, huh?
No, you
Alpha.
don't.
He's got alpha.
Definitely A.
You?
A.
A. Webb? Abby? Willie?
I'm gonna go with A.
A? Hey, everybody got A. Everybody got that one right. Okay, the next time that you have to slap yourself, you don't have to. How about that? Okay, the transmission fluid pump is usually driven by the what? A, the torque converter hub. B, the transmission input shaft. C, the engine output shaft. Or D, the torque converter hub or pump input shaft.
D for dog.
He's got delta. You got Abby. Abby has no clue. What about you?
Delta.
F. He's got an F. What?
Delta.
What? What? You said what?
D.
Oh, delta.
D.
Delta.
D. I
Delta.
went way too far.
Yeah.
D.
Delta. Everybody that put delta, mark it right. Everybody that put anything else, mark it wrong. Okay. Okay.
No foxtrot.
Yeah.
I wasn't even called for.
Yeah. There's no foxtrots on here. Okay. What happens when fluid passes through a reduced opening? A, pressure increases. B, pressure remains constant. C, pressure decreases. Or D is not an answer.
It's D.
Alpha.
It's D.
All right. So
It's D.
now this is really a sort of an incomplete question. When
What
fluid
is-
passes through a reduced opening, which side of the reduced opening are you measuring? If you're beyond the
Decreased pressure.
yeah, if you're beyond the
But see,
reduced
if it's flowing the other way. See,
yeah,
one thing
if you're
that's
measuring, yeah,
flowing
if you
too.
pinch it,
But what if it
well,
went the other way?
all you have to do is think about when the fluid's flowing. I mean, when the water's flowing through your garden hose, and you pinch the garden hose, that hose gets tight, big time. That's real simple. That's all you gotta do is just think about that. I was like, so you got that? Who put A? Who all put A? Everybody put A. All right, and we got a half-hearted hand raised from Gonzalez over here. Okay. In a 1-to-1 gear ratio, the gear drive rotates A, slower than the gear it drives. B, the same speed as the gear it drives. C, faster than the gear it drives.
Beta.
That's what is it? You got a beta or what? What you got? What do you think? If it's 1-to-1, It's the same speed, right? Everybody got the same speed? Everybody put that down right? Okay. If you put down B, then you got yourself right. Why does transmission fluid transfer movement? Is it because it maintains a constant viscosity over a wide temperature range? Is it because it cannot be compressed? Is it because it resists chemical breakdown under extreme conditions? Or is it primarily a mineral oil?
Cannot be compressed.
Yeah, any fluid, that's Pascal's law, it actually is going to transfer movement. That's the same reason your brake fluid transfers movement, is it not? Okay, so these are pretty simple questions. And this is kind of similar to what you're going to see on ASE tests. You know, when you take an ASE test. Okay, who plans to take an ASE test within the next year? Okay. Okay, so we got most everybody in here, except for 2 recalcitrants, are planning to take an ASE test in the next year. All right. You have to look up recalcitrant. Okay, what is the role? What is the role of a hydraulic valve? Okay, A, it applies and releases fluid coupling. B, modifies engine torque and speed. What is it? What does it do? Charlie. Who all got Charlie? Who put Charlie? All right, raise your hand if you put Charlie. Okay, if you didn't put Charlie, mark it wrong. If you did put Charlie, mark it right. Or don't mark anything on it. And incidentally, this afternoon, I'm going to start tossing written finals at you guys. And so don't rush through the written finals because any of them you don't get right the first time. To begin with, you can't go back and fix true-false questions because that's obviously that you're just shooting in the dark. You know. Secondly, if it's a multiple choice question, then you're going to be able to fix that one if you do the research, but you only get half credit on the one you had to go back and fix. The ones of you guys that have already been in here knows how that works. So you can't make a really good grade if you make a 60 on a 100 question test, for instance. If it was 100 questions, and you go back, you're not going to make better than an 80, even if you fix every single one of them. Got me? All right. So now then, what is the output from a 1 to 4 gear ratio called?
Charlie, overdrive.
Okay. So what do you think? You guys thinking?
Yeah.
You all sound good to that?
Yeah.
What does 1 to 4 mean?
You got
One's-
one turn of the.
Every 4.
Yeah, no, that's really that's a hyperbolic exaggeration because you don't ever have 1 turn of the input to 4 turns of the output. That's a bunch of hooey. You'll have like 0.78 to 1 is overdrive usually. Like you'll have like 3/4 of a turn to 1 turn, but it's never this bad, this high, right? Okay, so I didn't write this test, by the way. Whenever I get my ASE tests back, and I'm talking to the faculty about how I recertified on something ASE, what I'll say is, and I got all of the questions right except one, and I think it was a poorly written question is why I didn't get that one right. Okay. You got to, cover yourself, and if you're supposed to know something. Clutches and bends are applied and released by what?
Valve body.
Yeah, valve body. You got that? Everybody, what do you got? What do you think, Abby? Valve body?
Higher pressure.
Huh? It's going to be a hydraulic valve body. If you put D, you got it right. Pat yourself on the back. What do driving devices do? A, transfer power from one component to another. B, hold gear elements to the case. C, prevent gear elements from turning.
Alpha.
Okay, yeah, the other 2 are actually holding devices. See, because you're going to hold some things and drive some things, and there's some things that are going to be driven. Number 11, which of these is a symptom of a faulty transmission fluid pump? A, excessive torque converter slippage. B, harsh shift feel. C, no engagement in any gear. Or D, low fluid level.
See?
What do you think?
Bravo.
A faulty transmission fluid pump would do what?
Oh, wait, hold on.
Bravo.
Hold on.
He said bravo.
I did too.
He said bravo too. You guys thinking?
I put A.
He put A, which would be excessive torque converter slippage. What about you? Let's see, who is it? Webb, have you weighed in on it? Have you weighed in on it? He put A. Okay, what about you, dear Abby? Did you put in it? He said B. What about you? Daniel Gonzalez is the only one that...
I'm going rogue. I'm going C.
C's right. He's the only one that got it right. No engagement in any gear. Guys, on an automatic transmission, if you got no pressure, you got no engagement. Now,
On road.
if there's no pressure being fed to those clutches, you're not going to engage nothing. And I will tell you this, that we had a strong TSB that came out from Ford. It says if you've got no engagement, don't go putting a computer on it because that ain't going to fix it. You know, because some people want to throw a computer at it if it wouldn't engage, and that's nonsense. Number 12. This is a fun test, by the way. Don't you think it's a fun test? I can tell you guys are just jumping through the hoops to get this done. What is a symptom of worn friction discs in a holding clutch? A, slipping in the controlled gear. B, grinding or gear noise under load. C, stuck holding clutch. Or D, harsh engagement.
Bravo.
Well, you need all of them, but I'm going with D
I
too.
put A.
He put A. What else? You said Bravo. Who put? You said A? Okay, he said Bravo. What about you, Webster? He put A. Okay, what about you?
Bravo.
What about you, Daniel?
You rolled again.
Gonzalez is taking his time reading those things.
It's probably going to be C.
I'm trying to think like on a personal aspect.
Because it's in that clutch.
I said B.
That's a friction disc. That's the one with the springs in it.
All right, the symptom of worn friction discs is actually slipping in the controlled gear. Got it? Okay.
That's A.
What happens inside the torque converter at higher speeds? A, the turbine spins. What is the turbine?
It's the inside
That's
of
the
the
inside of the.
What is the turbine connected
You
to?
got the
The turbine's
stator,
connected to one of those guys in the Middle East's head.
and you got the impeller.
Oh, nice one. Nice.
Well, you got impeller, stator, and turbine.
That's right. Those are the three parts.
Yeah.
Okay, now tell me what's the impeller connected to?
It must be connected to the impeller must be connected to the turbine. And the stator. Oh, okay.
It's a fluid coupling. Okay, what is the now this can be confusing if you hadn't burned it in. What is the impeller connected to? You got an impeller, a stator, and a turbine.
A shaft.
Is it? The
The
impeller,
impeller is just sitting out there.
actually the intel. Now listen to this. You guys need to burn it in. The impeller is bolted to the flywheel. That's the outside housing, man.
Okay.
Okay, and the inside, the turbine, it's actually hooked to the shaft going into the center of the transmission. It's actually where the turning power is directed into the transmission through the turbine, which is hooked into the turbine shaft. I mean, the stator is riding on that other set of teeth. It's a little bigger than the turbine shaft. It's right behind it, and that set of teeth don't ever move. It's solid as a Gibraltar. All right, so the stator's got the one-way clutch on it, and it multiplies torque. But the long and the short of it is, get that burned into your head that the impeller, what's causing, if you're going to impel something, you're going to have power driving that, and the engine drives the impeller.
Bolted to.
That throws oil against the impeller. Remember I told you when you have two fans pointing at each other, you got one fan plugged into the wall blowing, and you got the other fan being moved by the air. All right, think about the one that's plugged into the wall being the impeller, and the one that the air is moving being the turbine. And that's the one that's pulling loads. You got some slippage in
Okay,
there.
so the impeller is connected to the flywheel.
To the transmission. No, I'm sorry, you're right. The impeller, yeah.
Then it's the
Y'all got this so messed up, nobody can figure it out.
stator. Right?
Yeah, the impeller is bolted to the flywheel, and the turbine is actually splined onto the shaft going in the center of the transmission. And the stator's between those two, and it redirects the fluid so you can get a maximum punch whenever it circles back around. And the turbine, the torque converter is made round with it so that this fluid will circle around and do the maximum thing. Okay. Now then,
B,
but that's going to be B. The turbine and impeller spin at similar speeds. Who put something else? Oh, sorry about that. The torque converter is best described as what? An advanced valve that regulates and directs fluid flow, a mechanism holding and driving planetary gear sets, or a fluid coupling that transmits power flow from the engine.
Charlie.
Everybody agree with that? Anybody disagree with that? Okay. Number 15. How would you describe torque and speed by 4-to-1 gear ratio? High speed, low torque, high speed, high torque, low speed, low torque, low speed, high torque.
As
Low
a
speed,
four,
high
I'd
torque.
say high speed, low torque.
High speed, low torque. Yeah, there you go.
High speed.
High speed, low torque. You're not going to be able to pull very much in overdrive. That's why That's why you got your. What is that? I don't know. On your new truck over here, what is that? Do you have a button on the end of the stalk that you turn off? What does it say? Say tow haul.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that means if you're pulling a heavy trailer, you turn that off, right?
Yeah,
Past
so
55.
If you don't do that, you're gonna have issues.
key 1 to 4, so we're in overdrive.
1 to 4 is overdrive.
You don't need all that, so you just need
Yep.
speed. You don't need torque anymore.
Yeah. So number 16, a hydraulic piston is used to operate what?
Delta.
What about? Huh?
I say driving clutches.
What about it?
You're going to have to say devices because it does both of them.
Servo, holding clutches, driving clutches.
See, a servo.
I can understand why somebody would answer driving clutches, and I would understand why they say holding clutches, and I'd understand why they say servo actually is a piston, but actually, and this is kind of dumb. Most hydraulic apply devices is basically the best answer, but all of them would actually line up.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? This is one of those poorly written questions like the ones I get wrong when I'm taking an ASE test. What do holding devices do? Do they transfer power, cause components to turn, prevent gear elements from turning?
See, I think. That's the only one say prevent.
Prevent gear elements from turning. Who put something different? That's it. You're fired. Get out. Okay. All right. Number 18. What happens when fluid passes through an enlarged opening?
Pressure decrease.
Yeah, obviously pressure decreases if it increases the other way. Number 19. The transmission fluid pump outlet port leads to what? Where's the first place the fluid goes when it leaves the pump? Does it go to the torque converter, oil pan, valve body, or sump?
It's got to go to the valve body. You got the pump?
Pump is
Charge.
torque converter, isn't it?
No. Pump is up.
Well, the pump is behind the torque converter on the front of the transmission. Now, the torque converter hub drives the pump, usually. What do you think?
C.
All right, get this burned in.
Yeah, I'm saying.
It goes to the torque converter, and it leaves the torque converter, and it goes through the transmission oil cooler, and then it goes back into the pan.
So,
And in the meantime, you got pressure being fed to your valve body. Uh-huh.
so what's
Wait a
torque
minute,
converter?
man.
Yeah, it's basic torque converter. That's an alpha. Anybody put something different in that?
You made me question myself on this one.
I put
Yeah.
Charlie.
Me too, because I put
What's the first thing you need to fill up?
the torque converter.
If the torque converter's empty, you're not gonna. Yeah, the torque converter ain't gonna work on air. Here's something else I was telling Daniel
You've seen that, right?
Kelly the other day.
Because when we took that one out, that torque converter was the first thing that was draining fluid too much.
Yeah, if you pull that, you know the little seal that goes on the up in there where around the filter when you're putting the transmission filter in. There's a seal around it that actually where it pull. If you have a seal that's messed up or leaking or something, it'll pull air in there, and that foam goes into the torque converter, and it goes to the middle because the torque converter is like a centrifuge, and it burns the torque converter up. So if you service the transmission the wrong way and you don't take that seal seriously, and it can pull air in there, you fried your torque converter because it needs lubrication in the middle. You see how the air is going to go to the middle and the fluid's going to the outside because it's heavy? Okay.
20 is Charlie.
Huh? Which one? 20 is Charlie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a transaxle is different from a transmission because a transaxle uses half shafts. That is absolutely correct. Give that man a gold star.
Only difference.
Huh?
That's the only difference.
That's pretty much the only difference. The transaxle is actually the transmission and the differential built together. Now, on a front wheel drive, where's the differential? I mean, on your truck, where's the differential? On your truck, where's the differential? Huh? Your pickup. The differential. Where's the differential? The spider gears.
You looking for
That
rear
stuff you
end?
showed me
Yeah.
how to put back in the back of my ass.
I got them in the front end.
You do because it's a four-wheel drive, yeah. He's got a differential in the front and the rear both. That's what he was confused about. And I was confused too because I forgot he has a four-wheel drive. But anyway, actually, it's not built in though. I tell you something else. There's the Cadillac Eldorados, them old early '80s ones that had front-wheel drive, Tornados, and all that kind of stuff. They were not. That was not a transaxle because the differential chunk was a separate part, and it was a cast iron differential chunk right up in there that was driven off of the transmission. There was a guy had an '82 Eldorado one time that he ran over something in the road, and busted the transmission housing, and it was an insurance claim. And what in the Sam Hill a diesel Eldorado is doing at the Ford place blows me away. I don't know, but they threw that job at me, and I had to pull the motor and the transmission out and replace the transmission housing, which means I had to pull all of the guts out of the transmission and put them in the new transmission housing and put all that hogwash back together. And that was a mess. But anyway, I think it paid 20 hours, and it took me 40 hours to do it because it was the first one I'd ever done, you know. Anyway, that was a bear. I mean, it was nasty. He also claimed his oil pan was leaking, his valve covers were leaking, and his radio power antenna quit working when he hit the muffler. He's trying to bilk the insurance company for all he could, you know. And so anyway, and there was a problem with the starter too, but that wasn't my fault. All right.
That wasn't your fault.
No, the shop foreman messed that one up. I'll tell you that story later. All right. Let me see here. The transaxle. Never mind. How do transmissions and transaxles produce the range of torque needed for normal driving?
A.
Oh.
Everybody say what?
A.
Everybody agree it's alpha, right? Okay. That is correct. What kind of transmission fluid pump uses a hub with retractable vanes that slide along the inside of a movable bore ring?
C.
He said C. He said Charlie, right? What about you,
Wow.
Mr. Abro? What do you think?
What kind of transmission fluid pump uses a hub with retractable vanes that slide?
Along the inside of a movable bore ring.
Only two that I heard of was variable and geroda, I think.
All right, what do you think, Webb? What about you?
Definitely going to be expressing that.
All right, now listen to this. The answer to the question is in the question.
Charlie.
Retractable vanes, and then one of these is variable displacement vane pump. You got it? So there you go. It's a Charlie. We have 3 questions left and 5 minutes until lunch. What about that? Okay, which of these is a pressure control valve? A, check valves, B, spool valves, C, spring-loaded spool valves, or D, on-off valves?
C.
Somebody weigh in.
I put check valves.
He put check valves,
I put Charlie.
and you put Charlie. He put alpha. You put alpha. He put alpha. You put alpha. Okay, and who was it that said Charlie?
What was it?
Oh, you go, Joe. All right. All right. Did you see the exemplary job Joe did cleaning out the refrigerator yesterday?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, baby. Next time I want it cleaned out, all I got to do is load it with a bunch of food from the night before, and he'll clean that thing up. All right. That's great stuff. You did a good job. Great. In a 1-to-4 gear ratio, the drive gear.
That conversation wrong. You make
And-
it sound fat. That's great stuff.
Yeah. Okay. And incidentally, Daniel, whenever they tell you to sweep up the cigarette butts, you don't sweep the whole parking lot. You just sweep up cigarette butts.
Wait, hold on. No, he told me to sweep the parking lot.
I said he wasn't clear enough in his, okay. In a 1-to-4 gear ratio, the drive gear rotates what?
Slower.
It's slower than the gear it drives. That is alpha. I'm just going to throw that one out there for what it's worth. If I gave y'all a wrong answer, would you be able to call my hand on it? Okay. What does the planetary gear set do? Does the planetary gear set hold and drive the planetary gear sets? Does it produce various output ranges of torque and speed, or does it provide fluid reservoir and hydraulic passages?
Bravo.
It's got to be a Bravo, man. Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Does everybody in here feel like you know more about automatic transmissions now than you did when the semester started?
Yes, sir.
Because everybody in here has learned a heck of a lot about automatic transmissions. Now, nobody's going to be a professional, first-class transmission expert, but you all know how to intelligently discuss them. See, that's what this whole thing was
I
about.
have no